financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is messy situations. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. A pleasure to be here this morning.
Nice to see you. Pat,
nice to see you.
Pat Samasco.
Hi, guys. How are you?
First time I've ever said good morning to Brian where you didn't have a long hello back.
I thought I'd try something different
after 7 years.
Every plan is individualized to the individual.
Yes, that's the watchword of our faith now, apparently. So, Pat, the motivation for the topic today came just when we were talking about a case that you were dealing with. Names and facts and circumstances have been changed, but I've kind of modeled it after this on one messy situation, and then I have another one that's going on right now, so I thought I would share that one as well. So let's start out with situation number one. It's Mildred. Oh my Mildred. She's elderly, widowed. Her husband Phil died 6 years ago. She appears to be with it, but she's not.
Right.
It's a problem. She receives substantial annual income. It's direct deposited into her bank accounts. She doesn't live in Michigan anymore. She's moved out of state.
Right.
Her kids are living in Michigan. And she's got this boyfriend.
Right.
Or this man friend called, his name for our purposes is Sydney. And this is a undue influence situation. Mildred worships Sydney. She thinks he's the best.
The cat's pajamas.
The cat's pajamas. There you go.
Yeah, she's 85 and he's 45.
He tells her how beautiful she is all the time. They have fun together, is what Mildred says.
Right.
And she enjoys giving him things and giving him money.
Right.
You get a phone call.
Oh, yeah.
What happens? What phone call do you get?
What's going on? And most people, they laugh about it. They see always the older guy with the young gal on his arm. But more cases are happening where the nice little lady, she's at home, she's a widow, and she's lonely, and the guy down the street is coming in, befriending her. They find on Facebook, they find on social media apps, or they just come in down the street, and next you know, he loves her and she's the greatest thing in the world, and he starts to ostracize her from the rest of the family, isolate her from the rest of the family, and then the next thing you know, he's the great guy, her kids are rotten, and then all of a sudden all the money's in his bank account, and he's long gone.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about it, but things like Facebook really create a plethora of opportunity for these people to go after people.
It's unbelievable. They love them. Oh my God. So we have another lady, which is about 2 months ago, that she befriended a military guy in Afghanistan. And then he's very religious. We got to get him home to see his kids. She ends up sending him $600,000. And then, but wait, this is not where she finally realized that the first money was to get him over to see his family. Then it was she's money laundering, sending him money, and now the police are going to come get her, unless she sends another $600,000, and that's when we stopped it.
Oh, so he told her you're in trouble for money laundering unless you give me more money?
No, a different scammer.
Oh.
So he got the first 600, and then his buddy came in and says, "Oh, I'm with the military police. You're money laundering, and we're going to come to arrest you unless you go." So when she came to us, she wanted us to keep her out of jail for money laundering, and we go, it's crazy. And she wanted to send the next 600,000.
Oh my God!
Over and over and over and over. People are worried about taxes and credit cards. When your mom is old or dad is old, financial exploitation is the biggest risk, whether it's from family members or the nice person down the street or the caregiver or the Facebook person.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. I want to go back to Mildred, but just think about how many calls we get. I get every week with the IRS scammer and this scammer. I still get, I would say, 3-4 calls a month from clients,
right,
who are asking me, is this, I think this is fake, but I want to double check. Is this something I should be worried about? And I always say to them, no, don't be worried. Yes, be worried about it, because if you're worried about it, you're being too facetious. Hang up the phone on these people.
They are so smart. They are so smart, and they're so good at what they do as being criminals. They will trip you up every time. This is what you do. Hang up the phone. Hang up the phone. But what happens is the mom is embarrassed now. She's embarrassed that she's having this new boyfriend. She's embarrassed that she got scammed for a little bit. She's embarrassed. So she doesn't want to tell anybody anything. And that's where they can keep it going and keep it going and keep it.
All right, so before we come to the break, let me give you back to Mildred. She's got real estate. Her cash is all gone. You find out she's got $15,000 left in her bank account, but she's gotten all this money. She still likes Sydney, and you find out she has not filed a tax return since Phil died, and meanwhile she's been getting all of this interest income.
$400,000 she owes to the IRS,
and she's got $15,000 left.
Right.
So we're coming up to the break, but the question now is, in this situation, what do we do for Mildred? What do we do about Sydney? What do we do about the taxes? What do we do about protecting her and protecting her from herself? And how do we get her to understand that we're trying to help her? We'll be back after the break. COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We were here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We'll create a plan and get through this together. THAV GROSS will solve your problem.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So I have to say something, Brian. I know you were so entrenched in the Mildred story that in the history of Law and Reality, there has never been a 6-minute span where you didn't say anything. History has been made.
Kenny, guess what? We just voted this was the best 7-minute segment.
We'll make sure that history doesn't repeat itself.
Okay, all right. So what do we do with Mildred, Pat? I had some ideas on the tax problem. Do you get a conservator? What do you do?
Well, the first thing you have to do is realize that Mildred has good days and bad days. She's mentally incompetent right now. So what I say is, if you can, you have to get Mildred away from this crook, because if she's there, he's still going to be influencing. So you have to literally take her out and move her into the son's house and protect her.
But so Pat, she's out of state. You need to bring her back to Michigan. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just saying, you've got a woman who's still living on her own, who believes she's capable of handling her own affairs. She still manages to make her breakfast and get herself up every morning and take care of herself. And to the world, she seems fine. So how are you going to get a judge to agree that she's not capable anymore?
Well, first of all, in this scenario is you have to realize it's the influence on her over and over and over again that's making her have these thoughts. With short-term memory issues, if you separate her from that scenario, she's going to completely forget about this guy. So the facts are a little bit different in our case, Ken. Mom lived in Michigan by herself. The son came up from Alabama and took her home to go see the grandkids. So she took back to Alabama to see the kids and the grandkids. And now that she's down there, that crook doesn't have access to her to unduly influence her anymore. So now the right influence is on her. If that wasn't the case and we had to fight it, we would have to have a guardianship and a conservatorship up here in Michigan to get the judge to come in and say, hey, she is not being protected. We need to protect her.
It can get even more complicated. Suppose you have a Mildred who is gullible, and is so lonely that she wants to believe that Sydney loves her, but she still knows the objects of her bounty. She says, listen, it's my money. If I don't want to, just because my kids want me to leave it to them, I want to give my money to Sydney. And realistically, is a judge going to say, no, you can't give your money to Sydney? That's a hard situation.
That's the problem, and that's how good the crooks are. So every one of these younger women that get it's the I forget what they called it on Facebook, where the young guy finds the lady and now she's in love with him and he takes all the money and now he's gone. So you got to try and have the talk with your mom. And that's a big problem. You want her to have her independence, but you don't want her to be bamboozled either. It happened to my mother-in-law. She found a guy on Facebook in Florida, but finally she realized before she could start sending him any money that he was a crook.
Yeah, this Facebook is a real serious, serious risk. Because I guess it happens to the elder people. I get, someone friends you that you don't know. I have a rule. I look if they don't have any mutual acquaintances with them. Generally speaking, I won't accept it. And then you have all the spam ones too that are obviously fake. But an elderly person's not going to necessarily realize that.
They believe, they want to believe it. They're lonely. That now COVID, their only outlook is Facebook, right? So people aren't coming. Or now mom's in the assisted living, or mom has caregivers coming in. These caregivers are it's their pension. Their pension is to get as much money from these people as possible, and then go on to the next one, and go on.
So if you have
all caregivers,
what do you
the bad ones?
Pat, what do you recommend? Because obviously, if a caregiver's coming in, what do you recommend to the family members? Because the caregiver wasn't, it wasn't mom that called her own caregiver in. It was somebody in the family that brought the caregiver in. What do you recommend?
So this is what we
to protect the finances at the same time.
This is what we do. So what we do, we create a lot of the irrevocable trusts that we talk about, and we do it to protect the money from the nursing home, but it also protects the money from financial exploitation. So here's the case. The son comes in, 90-year-old dad starts looking around on the internet, finding ladies from overseas to bring to Michigan to help take care of him. So we put all of the money into the irrevocable trust that the son is in charge of, right? So all of a sudden, all the money's in the son's control. We get a call from the son saying, "Oh my God, dad's going down to the airport to pick up a lady from Malaysia. What should I do?" I go get her, because she's going to do it for love, because she can't get a dime out of his money because the son's got it all. So, and then it was a long trip for there's going to be no payday at the end of the day. So the answer is, when mom and dad are still competent, you got to start getting the kids involved to help protect the estate. Watch the bank accounts, watch the checking account, but you want to make sure you got a good kid in charge, because kids can financially exploit mom just as more easy than the caregiver.
Yeah, a lot of complications. All right, now back to Mildred for a second. We had this tax problem too. So she hadn't filed tax returns for 6 years, which that would be a fact you could use to say she does need a conservator. She doesn't know what she's not capable of managing her affairs. But all of a sudden she's got this big tax liability now. You think that, and we had talked about it. We could conceivably get penalties waived for her, because she's with doctor letters and so forth establishing that she was fleeced, maybe take a loss on a theft loss, arguing that Sidney stole the money, that it wasn't gifted to him. That could be a difficult issue from his tax standpoint, but she's got to address her tax problem as well.
Oh, big time.
So the depth of the problems really runs deep. And the bottom line is, as children, you got to protect your parents, and you've got to make them savvy to these issues as they arise. We'll take a break, and we'll come up with the next scenario, and that's going to be about Ben.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays, 10 o'clock a.m. and Saturdays, 7 o'clock a.m. And then on KISS 105.9, Sundays, 7:30 a.m. every week. Law and Reality is happy to announce a free webinar. Stay in your home, attend our webinar via the internet. You can watch it at the time of your choice and at your convenience. Just go to thavgross.com or lawandreality.com on the homepage, click webinar, and you'll be taken right to the webinar, and you'll have Brian, myself, and Jeff Linden presenting to you. We're going to talk about how to eliminate your debt and get a fresh start and live debt-free for 2021. Remember, to be free, you must be debt-free. We'll address all the methods that we use to preserve future income, get rid of the debt so that you can start saving money in the bank rather than giving your money to the bank. There'll be a special segment on small businesses facing debt and closure issues, learning your best options of when to use bankruptcy and when not to file bankruptcy. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. You can always come in to THAV GROSS for a free consult. We're doing teleconferences, phone conferences, as well as proper social distancing for in-office meetings. Whichever you prefer, we can accommodate. You want to call 888-235-HELP or go online to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeffrey Kirshner, criminal law issues with Scott Weinberg. Just reach out to us. We're happy to help you. When you come in and you get a free consult, it's not a meet and greet. It's an analysis of your problem with a specific developed plan as to the best and optimal solution to that problem, so you know what your options are and you know how to implement a plan to resolve the problem. Also, take a look at the free reports that are online. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solution by myself and Jeff Linden, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and also the Retiree's Guide from Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We are here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We will create a plan and get through this together. THAV GROSS will solve your problem.
Okay, time for messy situation number 2. Our star of the messy situation is Ben. He's age 88. He was married to Darla, who died in 2019. Darla's trust left $6 million in trust. Income going to Ben while he's living. The power to invade the trust for his support only if needed. And after Ben dies, everything's to go to their 3 children in equal shares.
Ken, that's normally the greatest way to set it up to protect Ben from himself and also to protect the kids.
The kids. There's a but here, though.
Always a but.
There's always a but. Darla created a power of appointment to Ben to allow him to designate who receives the residuary. So, you got 3 kids. Duke is the take charge guy, Ben's favorite. David was the laid back good kid. And Danny went to Daddy a lot and borrowed a lot of money over time. Here's what happens. End of 2020, Ben is tanking, fading fast. 2 days before he dies, he signs a new will and restates his trust. And in his will, he exercises the power of appointment, and he then leaves the money to the kids, but instead of leaving it to them a third, he gives Duke 50%, he gives David 35%, so Duke gets $3 million, David gets $2,100,000, and Danny gets $900,000.
And there's probably a non-contestability clause somewhere in there too.
And there's a non-contestability clause which says if Danny fights it and he loses, he gets nothing rather than his 900. The question is did Duke exercise? Duke was there with Ben to sign that will and kind of helped him with his. We looked at the signature, and the signature looks really crummy.
Who was the lawyer that prepped it? I mean, was it his dad's original lawyer or a new lawyer?
Original lawyer, but the lawyer is in Michigan. Dad was in Florida, so they hired counsel down there to attend the signing.
Yeah.
So the testimony, the statements are he had a bad signature, but he knew what he was doing.
That's why you got lawyers.
So was this is if you're doing something like this.
Go ahead, Brian.
If you're doing something like this late in life, wouldn't you suggest, Pat, just if you're changing somebody's will at this point, a video of the signing and a complete a really good question and answer session with Dad when he's changing his will?
Oh, that's absolutely part of the plan if you have the ability and get the time. But yeah, the question is, did Dad do what he was supposed to do? Was the kid that got cut out the rotten kid that got $2 million already from Dad over his lifetime?
I wouldn't go rotten, but he was a little bit more needy.
Who do you so the question is, whose side's everybody on? Dad obviously wanted to do it.
Well, this is fiction. Let's go to the first thing. What's the standard of what level of competency does Ben have to sign and exercise that power of appointment?
Great question. That's my law school class number 1. Mental competent, testamentary capacity. He knows who he is. He knows who his family members are. That lady that we talked about in my case, she knew everything except she goes, "Hey, look at the black cat on your windowsill." And there was no black cat on the windowsill, but she knew who her family was and her object of her bounty.
Yeah. So does she have testamentary capacity even though she's seeing cats all over the place?
In that scenario, she did. But if she's leaving, if you start being not only mentally competent, but the weaker you are, the easier you are to financial exploitation. So that's where it comes in, is that he was being exploited by his son, right? Undue influence.
All right. So here's how messy of a situation it is. Challenging Ben may be a losing situation. If Danny makes that challenge with the no contest provision, he could end up with nothing.
Right.
So it's a very difficult decision for Danny to make in that scenario. That's a wrap. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality. Pat, Brian, thanks for joining, helping out, everything. Be well.